So good evening, good evening, good evening. Those of you who are watching, this is Mental Health Awareness. I'm Timothy Wright, along with my cousin Quintera, Ebony, and Michelle. Hey, before we start, again, if you are watching from Facebook, like and share. This might really save somebody's life. If you're watching from YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you will get the notification every time we come on live. We are excited about this segment of the show that we're about to do. But before we get into what we want to talk about, let's hear from Ebony. Ebony, what's up?
Hey, everybody. I'm glad to be back. I definitely miss you guys. It's been a while, but we have so much to talk about, and I'm excited about tonight's topic.
All right. Michelle.
Hello, everyone. I missed y'all. I'm happy to be back. I'm looking forward to tonight's topic.
All right. Q.
Hello. I absolutely love anytime we get together to talk about anything mental health or just to get together in general. I think it's something well needed, for us to kind of vent out whatever happened and process through the week and just kind of talk about some issues that are happening around the world and how we can best help the community. So I think that this is so rewarding and it's something I absolutely love, and hopefully this is beneficial. But with that being said, I hope that everyone takes the time out to really write in the comments about any subjects that you would like for us to talk about. There's so many things when it comes to mental health. There's so many things that's happening in certain family dynamics, and if it's an issue, if it's a concern, if it's something you want to know more about, we want to be able to provide you with whatever you need.
Right. So we definitely want to do that. Any type of way we can be any assistance to anybody. You can email us, or definitely you can comment in the comment section. So we're just excited about the fact that all four of us are back together.
Yes.
The last time we did a show, it was only Quintera and myself. And everybody was like, where is Michelle? Where is Ebony? Well, here they are. Hey, y'all, glad to have y'all back with us. So much is going on in our world. We can definitely say amen to that.
Yeah.
Some has affected us. I think since we last been all together, we've experienced death, uh, close friends, families, um, suicides, still going on. But y'all, there's another topic that we want to discuss, and it's more so targeted to parents, but also about the children. So tonight we want to look at opioids. And I think the first question we need to ask, what is it? What are opioids?
So, opioids is basically a medication. It's as a type of medication. It's a synthetic drug that that has the ability to be helpful and it has the ability to be harmful. If you are taking an opioid, you want to definitely make sure you are following the recommendations of your primary care physician or whoever prescribed your medication to you. But it is a form of medication similar to morphine, where it's used to a pain reliever. But there are some common type of opioid medications that you don't even know may be an opioid, but it is like oxycodone, Vicodin, hydrocodone, morphine, methadone. Those are common opioids that a lot of people use, but there's so many more.
Right. Anybody else?
No. Okay, Michelle.
I'm sorry. Fentanyl is an opioid as well, but it's a synthetic opioid, and it's also used. It's used for painkillers. So opioids are painkillers. I know it's very common to go to the doctor with people that suffer from migraines, or even if you're in a severe car accident. Most times, people that get addicted to opioids have been introduced to opioid through an accident of some sort, car accident, back pain. That's some people get addicted that way because severe back pain or some type of trauma, which causes them. They give them oxycodone to help treat that pain because normal standard over-the-counter painkillers don't work with nerve pain. Don't. It's not a relief, so they give them a opioid to kind of help with that. It's morphine. You're in car accident. Or when we have children, give birth, they give us morphine that they have C-sections right after surgery, or what have you. But fentanyl is a synthetic opioid.
Okay. Ebony, were you about to say something?
Yeah, Michelle pretty much covered it. It's based. I was going to say usually you get it because it's related to some type of pain. A lot of time cancer patients have it. And sometimes, we just got to be mindful of where we put in our medication because we don't want, anyone to get in contact with it because sometimes, you don't use all your medication. But it's definitely something that has been trending lately. And we've seen a lot of devastating things happen because of it. I don't want to jump ahead, but I know we one of the things we were going to discuss was definitely with the kids. And this is like something that we all want to encourage parents and guardians. And, if you have youth or whoever you're raising, just to be mindful because not to say that marijuana is okay, and it is. I'm never going to take it as a light thing to do. But these kids are smoking marijuana and taking these gummies and thinking that it's okay. It's just a little bit of marijuana. But what's happening is they're lacing it with this fentanyl. I've seen 4 cases within the last couple weeks of kids who didn't even know that they were taking this fentanyl inside the marijuana and gummies, ended up in a hospital with hallucinations, just having all type of bizarre behaviors. And one person, we don't even know if she's ever gonna, go back to what her her base was prior to this incident, because it was so much in it that it kind of triggered whatever other, things she had going on. So now it's just making it even worse. Kids are dying. There's been cases that children are dying because they're smoking this marijuana, thinking, oh, I'm just going to go have fun with my friends, but not realizing that it's laced. A lot of times the kids don't know that it's laced because for whatever reason, whoever the supplier is like, let's put a little bit in this to get them to come back. And unfortunately, they don't make it back because, the worst is happened.
Right. So we're seeing the mental effect that this drug has too.
For sure.
So if that's the case, we're looking at the fact that we're looking at an epidemic.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And the thing about fentanyl, fentanyl has been out for a long time. Fentanyl came out in the 1960s. It's just so happened that over time, rapidly, over the past couple of years, not just this year or last year, actually, there's been rising cases of fentanyl being produced in the hands of people over the last at least 6 years. Has been a major concern for quite some time, and like Ebony was saying, it's definitely caused us concern because of the type of work that we do and the children that we work with and the families that we see and how we are seeing it. We don't work at the same place. We all work at different facilities and different organizations, and we're all coming across the same thing. And it's very unfortunate. It's very sad when you have to, maybe see one of your kiddos laying in a hospital bed in a coma, or, a child who is vomiting uncontrollably may have some cognitive or brain damage from something that they thought was, oh, it was just fun, something I wanted to do for fun,
So a night of fun can lead to you actually losing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was
even worse, your life.
Even your life. So we're talking about the fact that fentanyl is a epidemic, right? This statement here says fentanyl is the single deadliest drug threat our nation has ever encountered. It says it's everywhere, from large metropolitan areas to rural America. No community is safe from this poison. So they're saying, in a sense, it has gone from a drug to a poison.
Mm-hmm.
So we must take this opportunity to spread the word to prevent fentanyl-related overdose death and poisoning from claiming scores of America's life every day. Y'all, we're seeing that whether we know this or not, somebody's losing their life every day from an overdose of this drug / poison.
Right. And I think the difference when it comes to fentanyl in particular, it's not like a regular your illicit drug, street drug, right? It's not like marijuana. It's not like cocaine or heroin or something like that. This comes in a pill form,
right?
Right. So like when people think about this, they're like, oh, this is nothing major. I got this from the doctor.
Right.
Right. This was prescribed to me.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times when people think about fentanyl, they think about, oh, this is just a medication. They don't think of how dangerous the substance can be.
Right. Right. I think one thing we need to look at, think about this, that it's 50 times more potent than heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And 100 times more potent than morphine.
For sure. Yeah. 2 grams of fentanyl can have you laying in the hospital bed.
Absolutely.
It's definitely an epidemic.
Right.
It's definitely an epidemic. Research says that over 82% of deaths in 2020 were due to synthetic opioids, like fentanyl.
Yeah.
That's a large percentage too.
Mm-hmm.
And even there's some articles suggest that some people in that percentage actually didn't really they overdosed to commit suicide.
Mm.
So we're seeing all this happening, and we're not just talking about as they would say, one side of the track. It's both sides of the track. Metropolitan and rural area. It's everywhere. Now listen to this, y'all, because it's according to CDC, 107,375 people in the United States died of drug overdoses and drug poisoning in the last 12-month period ended in January 2022.
Wow.
A staggering 67% of those deaths involve synthetic opioid like fentanyl.
Wow.
So we're seeing it's an epidemic, and now what we have to understand that it's not only just affecting adults, but they are targeting our children now. And this is where we need to be tonight. The fact that it is targeting our children. I saw an article, this was on CBS this morning about 3 weeks ago, how they are now not just only using gummies, they're using little candies in different colors. It looked like sweet tarts. And they're using this to target our children. And parents have no clues of what is going on, because children are walking in the house with gummies and they just think, hey, they're just gummies. Or they're walking in the house with this, it's like a bag of candy. So where do we go as educators? Y'all educators. How do we address parents with this?
It's definitely back. I don't know. I remember back in my time, in my days when I was younger, it was like, when you go trick or treating, you can't eat any candy till your mom inspects it. We need to get back to that, because they call it the rainbow fentanyl. And it's a new generation cartel, and they're mass producing these multicolored pills, and they're, shipping them over and targeting the children to get them addicted as well. There is no accepting candy from stranger. There is no, we just have to be we can't just be lenient with this anymore, because we don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. So there's really no rhyme or reason to say, oh, do this and this won't happen, because we don't know. Like you said, it's on every side. It's in the rural areas. It's in the metropolitan areas. It's in the rich neighborhoods. It's in the poor neighborhoods. It's everywhere. So we have to be proactive and make sure that, we are very mindful of what our children are taking, and have these conversations with them all the time, because you know what? We're not with them 24/7. We don't know the candy that they're getting from their classmates in school, but we have to educate them to let them know, hey, you can't just accept stuff from everybody, because we don't know what it is. That's the only way. That's my only thing, that the only way we can help right now, on that level, we have to keep educated, and that way we can educate our children.
Yeah. And that just made me think about last year, around the holiday last year, trick or treat time. I remember in Atlanta Public School District, they had to shut the school down for a couple of days because, somebody brought Rice Krispies to school that was laced, and kids were getting sick, and they was in hospitals and stuff, and people didn't know why. But this was something that was brought into the school, as a treat for the classroom, so you just never know what people's intentions are. And another thing too is it comes, like you said, it comes in different forms. Another very common thing that is happening is the pill parties. Children go to parties, put a bunch of pills in a jar, they take a fistful of pills, don't know what they're taking, but will take a fistful of pills, and they will take them, and they're betting on who can take the most pills and pass out, basically, and this is very popular. So this is not, it could be house parties, it could be like garage parties, and these are kids that are getting together when you're away, and they're passing out in your home, or they're going home and they're passing out. And we've, even in the county that I work in, we've had 2 deaths, high school related deaths, from pill parties, so it's very common, and it is happening. Even when you don't think it's happening.
So honestly, we're saying, parents, check on your children by any means necessary. So we just remember times that I stayed with my grandmother, and they ask questions like, who are your friends?
Right.
What's her mama name? What's her daddy name? What's his mom name? What's his dad name? And those, we don't even ask questions like that anymore. So uh, Twin, you and I talked about that before, how communication is the key, where we really don't communicate with our children anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing all this stuff going on with the drugs. Some of them, like again, Ebony stated so well, how people thinking marijuana, oh, it's just marijuana, but you don't never know what you're getting into. So some of these deaths were attributed to fentanyl mixed with other illicit drugs like cocaine and meth and heroin and marijuana. And people were unaware that they were actually taking fentanyl.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's so unfortunate. It's so sad. You know what I mean? It's so sad to watch, but because there are long term, sometimes you can have short term effects and there's some long term effects, and some of those short term effects can lead to depression, it can lead to anger, it can lead to hallucinations, and hallucinations, whether that's auditory or visual, those are major. Those are really major psychosis or medical conditions to really be concerned about,
Right.
because that can lead to a safety concern for
Right.
themselves and others.
Right.
Because if someone's in your head telling you, "Oh, you should go hurt yourself," or you should hurt someone else, but you don't know that this person is thinking these thoughts, that's concerning.
Right. So we don't see the mental effect that this drug can have on not just again adults but children as well.
Mm-hmm.
And some of this is for long haul. There's no turning back.
Mm-hmm. And you could do treatment. Like they said, like talk therapy is the best for people who are dealing with um this type of epidemic or dealing with this type of challenge, because it's intro perspective. You know what I mean? It's intro perspective of how you are personalizing the incident, how it affects you, how it relates to other people. It's more of, because you have talk therapy, you have play therapy, you have different types of therapy, but talk therapy, they say it's the best for individuals who's dealing with this type of challenge.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
One of the things too that I just wanted to bring up is, if you do just so happen to know someone who may be suffering from an overdose, or may look like there are signs um, of overdosing, is to make sure there are some different things, like you can have preventative stuff that you can have at home that could save somebody's life. I don't know if you guys have heard of Naxalon. It's almost like it's like a first aid kit, basically. Like you have an EpiPen, so like if you ever have an allergic reaction, these are like, you could do like nasal sprays, or it's almost look like an EpiPen, but it's a injection that you can do if someone is pretty much having a overdose. And you give it to them within the first 2 minutes, and you can keep giving it to them until like the EMS get there, or until you can get like first responders who can get to the individual. Because like when you do have someone who is dealing with an overdose, like there is, like, you will stop breathing, or your pulse becomes very faint. You do start to tint a little bit, like your lips can turn blue and gray, and your fingertips are the first to change colors, like, so if you are noticing someone who may have issues with overdosing, it may be vomiting, uncontrollably, there are some things that you can do. It is very expensive though. It may be about $200, $250, that you can get from your local pharmacy. And it's called Naxlon. It's Naxlo. I'm sorry, Nalaxone. And then that way you guys can just put it in the chat. But just go to your local pharmacy, have it on hand. It's like a first aid kit, basically. You know, so if there's someone else that comes around that you know or maybe experience something like this, even if you don't even think there are, so you could be like, okay, I'm not sure exactly if they having a if they're overdosing or they're having some issues about overdosing, maybe took something they're not supposed to. This medication is not harmful, even if they didn't. So that's why it's really good to have this as a preventative in your home.
Yeah. It's also called Narcan.
Mm-hmm.
That's another name if you don't see it's Narcan. But in addition to some of the things that you said, I know they have this thing with fentanyl, it's called the death pulse. That's a sure sign of the overdose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the body stiffens and it's like it's something with your torso. It kind of like sticks out and they're just like in a frozen state. That's called the death pose.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever
Even
know,
nodding is
yeah,
another
the
one too.
nodding, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So those are some common signs.
Wow. So, hey, let's pause for station identification. If you are watching again from Facebook, like and share. If you are watching from YouTube again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You will get the notification every time we go live. We are here again with mental health awareness. I'm Timothy Wright, along with my cousin Quintera and our good friends Ebony and Michelle. Fentanyl is what we're talking about. The effect it has on our children. And I just believe that this topic is much needed. Sometimes we as parents are naive about what our children are doing and getting themselves into. And we need to be aware and alert to what is going on with our children, especially when they are the one being targeted with this poison. So we talked about the fact that we can what do we do if we suspect an overdose? You know, and Twin, you kind of been talking about that, but then as a parent, we don't know this.
Mm-hmm.
So again, let's go through that again.
Like we were saying before, some of the common signs that you can notice, nodding, as you see with individuals who may have issues with cocaine, or even heroin. You see, if your child is, you're like, oh, they're unresponsive. Of course, you want to immediately call EMS services, first responders, a soft, faint pulse. You know, even if you notice discoloration in their lips, fingertips, excessive vomiting. And those are some common signs.
I want to also add to look out for those bizarre behaviors because they will start to have conversation about things that are just like you wouldn't even think about. I do know, like with one of the kids who were going through it, basically kept saying someone was following him, like, oh, I see them, they're trying to get me, having these like manic, moments and
Paranoia.
kind of, yeah, like the paranoia. I know one girl who was going through it, she just said, she basically was saying that she went outside, to have a conversation with someone that wasn't there. And then she thought everybody was trying to harm her. It was a lot of bizarre behavior. So be mindful of that. Don't take it as a joke, like, oh, they're just playing around being silly, because it really might be something going on. Because, sometimes kids play a lot too, but definitely pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we seeing the fact that it also has mental side effects.
Absolutely.
For sure.
It can cause a state of psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And then when they go to the hospital, it's treated as a what is it? They call it a not a permanent, but they say is a temporary psychotic disorder.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, we don't know how long
that
it takes to go. You know what I mean? Temporary can be two days or 2 years or
Yeah.
20 years. You know what I mean?
It's
You
called
don't know
drug.
how long it's gonna how long it's gonna take them to come out of that state.
For
It's
sure.
called drug. It's called drug induced
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
psychosis.
Wow.
And then also too, it's very important to be honest. Even you have children who are having symptoms of from these different drugs that they are taking. Go ahead, tell your parents, hey, I took something and I'm not feeling right. You know
Right.
what I mean? You try to hide it and then they're like laid out on the floor somewhere. Somebody
Right.
has to find them,
Right.
and for parents, they're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened. They just all of a sudden didn't, woke up feeling like this, But if they can go catch it early on and go to the doctor, they can pump your stomach, all these different
Give you
things
something to
before you
flush your
even get to the
system.
point of before you even get to the point of really having some real major medical concerns.
Right.
But
Right.
that's what Ebony said, because some kids are fearful. They're not going to tell. This is just point blank. Your child is not going to tell you because they don't even know what's going on. But just like Ebony said, recognizing the signs and go and don't think they're playing.
Right.
Even if they are, just go see, let's go get some blood levels. Let's see what's going on so they can flush their system before it can do major damage, if possible.
Right.
Now, you really don't know.
Right. Now again, that comes from us having complete communication. And again, a lot of times that's not what we're having with our children. I look at the fact that the average child has a device in front of their hand, and they are looking at these challenges on TikTok and other social media platforms, and they try to carry them out. So I think as parents, again, we can be naive about what we see as well on TikTok and other platforms of social media. We got to know that our children has the potential of actually trying this, because here's a statistic: only 2 milligrams of fentanyl is considered a potential legal dose, and it's particularly dangerous for someone who does not have a tolerance to opioids.
For sure.
For
sure.
And like we said too.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna jump back what Michelle said and what you guys are saying too. We have to, like you said, there's a device in here. We have to actually stop just saying we're parents and get back to parenting, because a lot of times we don't. We use those devices as a, placeholder because I have something to do. Well, let me let you do this. You know what I mean? Being able to recognize signs, like you said, by communicating, but by also knowing your child too. Because sometimes, let's face it, the day gets by, life happens, and you don't realize, oh, my child knows how to do this now, or this is, this is what they're into. We have to make sure that we are parenting and we are getting back to not letting the device raise our kids, and understanding that no, you don't have to do every challenge on TikTok, or are you even supposed to be on TikTok at this age? Because if you can't decipher the difference between this is just something they're doing on the internet and something I need to try, then you don't need to be on TikTok. I don't care if you're 13, or 14. It's what stage mentally you're in. Is your stage, not your age. And if your stage doesn't say that you're ready for that, then you don't need to be on that. And we as the parents need to recognize that.
Right.
Because there's so much exposure,
Absolutely.
like children can be exposed to anything. YouTube is, the all be all for children. You can figure out how to do anything on YouTube, to how to do hair, to how to make a bum, to whatever,
Right.
And like you said, TikTok, these are trending, because it's fun, even Twitter, you know what I mean? Like Twitter came out many years ago, but Twitter is still popular, so you do have people who are on the way following trends, peer pressure, and learning things through other people. And with us being in the world that we live in now, and although we're in a metropolitan area where a lot of stuff is becoming legalized, even marijuana, you know what I mean? We have a county here where it is decriminalized, so you do have children who have access to different things, and where as before, it was a little bit more challenging. So it can be, it is hard,
Right.
and then as a parent, you're like, okay, do I tell them, like, if I tell them don't drink, they're going to drink anyways, right? If I tell them don't do this, they're going to do it anyways. But like being present, being active, pop up at the school. What's up?
And
Like,
some
what's going on? What
and
do you,
sometimes
yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's just a conversation. It's not even about being, you don't do this and you can't do that. Like I have a
Yeah, be
16-year-old.
present.
I talk to her, we talk about everything, you know what I mean? Like it took us a minute to get there, but we talk about everything, and our best conversations are in a car. And I always talk to her about this epidemic with the fentanyl. Like from what I see, and I'm gonna say this because I'm never gonna be one of those parents like, oh, my child won't do this and she don't do that. I don't know what she does when I don't see her, but from what I see, she doesn't do any drugs. But who's to say that, she wouldn't be enticed by a friend at school and say, hey, let's do this gummy. Hey, I'm overwhelmed, and I'm hearing her because she, if you, like, I don't know, Michelle or Q, you spoke to her lately. Anytime you say, how you doing? She's like, I'm tired. Because she has a lot on her workload. She's doing dual enrollment. So, I'm always encouraging her, but I don't want it to be that moment where she feels overwhelmed and then she's in school and somebody's like, hey, let me give you this gummy. It's going to help you feel better. You know what I mean? It could be as quick as that. And she's thinking, oh, it's something innocent. I'll be fine. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't see mom till 4 o'clock. It'll wear off by then. You know what I mean? So these are the little things too. So that's why I said, just have the conversation and let them know this is what's going on. Now, I don't know what if this is something you into, which I hope you're not, but just know this can happen. So before you make these choices and decisions, I need you to understand this, just having a conversation, being present.
Being
Yeah.
transparent, transparent conversations is important. And another thing I was going to say too, just for families, I know both on Androids and iPhones, you could track your child. You can find where they at. And so just being able to even just know, I talk to parents, they're like, I don't know where my child at. Why don't you know? They 16 years
Right.
old. Like, like,
right.
or they've been out. They didn't come home to midnight last night.
And I agree with that, Q. A lot of parents don't want to be into I guess into their child's business. They want them to have that freedom, right? And they want to build that trust. It's not saying that I don't trust you, but the where we live at now, I track my 19-year-old. He'll be 20. I track him. I track my 27-year-old. I'll track his phone because sometimes he leave. I don't know where he's at, so I track his phone because he doesn't answer. I know a couple people that have found their own child bodies, right? Because they were able to track it. Two people I know, one girl recently, she found her son. He was murdered. She found him before the police found him because she tracked the iPhone, right? He had been missing for 3 or 4 days around the Christmas holidays. That's recent, right? So it's important that don't worry about how, just give me the app. I'm not trying to be in your business. Just go on accept because I'm going to track you. I'm going to find you, right? So, and so we have to be intrusive parents. Not that I don't want you to have the freedom, that I don't trust you, not I'm trying to be in your business. It's just for safety reasons. That's what I tell it's just for safety reasons.
Right. Look, especially when you stand in my house, it is my business. I tell my children, they out to college now, but before they left, those rooms were my rooms. The bed that you're sleeping in, even though you say mine, it's my bed. The clothes that you wear, even though I can't wear them, they're my clothes. So I have a right because everything that you got is mine. So I have a right to know what you got going on. I need to know who your friends are. And I know my son, especially, Daddy did that, about, okay, who are they folks? That's how I got drilled. So who are their folks? So
where you going?
Yeah. Right. Who you going with?
What y'all doing?
Gonna be gone.
Right.
What you gonna be doing?
What time you
Right.
coming back? You know?
And I
Who
will
else
pick up the
gonna be
phone.
there?
Right. And pick up the phone and call you. It's 1
Right,
a.m. What we doing?
right.
What,
And
we'll come home anytime soon.
I remember, my son graduated, and, COVID set in and all that stuff, but we occasionally let him go out, and, I was like, hey, I don't want to make a commercial. It's 12 o'clock. Do you know where your child is?
Right. I remember that. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where you
Yeah.
Shoot.
So I was like, dude,
Right.
come home.
Right.
Because we can have friends and not know what our friends are up to.
Mm-hmm.
And then peer pressure is so real. Peer pressure is so real. There are a lot of people who have been friends and they do the opposite things, but to stay friends, you got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So if you let such a friend, then why do I have to do this?
Right.
So those are some of the things that I had to discuss with our children, and be transparent. Like, hey, guess what? We went through peer pressure too.
Yes.
Well, I know 2 incidents where friends have killed friends.
Absolutely.
Right?
I know some situations too.
Yeah, gang initiation, and they killed their best friend,
Right.
to get with another crew.
Right.
So come home,
Oh yeah. And then a lot of times parents are.
Now I have this thing with Deja. We call it our girl talk, right? So during our girl talk, it's completely judgment free. It's not mom and daughter talking, it's 2 girls, we're just talking, and we just talk about whatever's going on, what you think, what you saw, what happened, where I give her that opportunity where she doesn't feel like she's gonna get in trouble. So she knows anything she tell me she did, I'm not gonna really she think she ain't gonna get in trouble, but depending on what it is. But it's that moment for her to be like, Ma, I did this, or this happened at school today, and I said this. So it gives us that moment to just be like, hey, and I'm like, hey, have you ever tried? I said, you ever tried to smoke before? Because I know a couple of your friends smoked it. I found out. Like, so what you think about it? You know what I mean? So she always tells me, no, I don't, I've never tried it. I don't like it. I don't want to be around it. And I'm just like, okay, but I just try to just give that platform, and maybe that's something you guys can do as parents, who just give that time to just say, hey, this is just us talking. This is just, me and you talking. This is our powwow moment. This is not me trying to punish you. Just, let's find out what's going on. And then I tell her things that's going on with me too, to give her that, room to open up. Like, okay, well, mommy's telling me this is what happened to her, so let me tell her something that happened to me, or you know what I mean? So that's just some advice.
I don't do it that way, because I know me as a parent. I would go straight off if he tell me anything. I'm not gonna tell that. But I do believe in being genuine and transparent, right? Mm-hmm. I do believe in that. I would not sit there and have it's gonna be a consequence, because we all got to be held accountable, right? So I don't want to set that up like that, because I know I won't follow through. But that's great for every parent is different. That's
right.
Great
I'm gonna say you have to do what works for you.
What's works for you. For me and my son, we've always had, my youngest son, we have that relationship. But he processes things, and I know later, which is fine. Or I know if he's in trouble, he'll tell me. He tried marijuana his first year of college, right? We had that conversation. He was able to come to me because it's a safety, right? It's a safety, because I can't have any, because I don't have any control.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, it's a safe. We have a safe environment. He knows that I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to let him know that. But I appreciate you coming to me about it. He was drinking in college. We had a conversation about that and what that looks like on the age drinking. Whatever comes from that, you're going to lose your car. You're going to lose things, because it's got to be a consequence. It is a safe environment, but it's an accountability environment, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not his friend. I'm his mother. I'm going to always.
Now say that again. Say that again.
There.
Say that again.
I am. I'm going to stay there with him on that. But it's going to be safe enough where you can come to me, right? Mm-hmm. And understand that, I'm gonna need you to come to me, because if I find out, it's gonna be a lot worse. But and I think he does well. You know, he does very well coming to me. That works for him. But like Ebony said, parenting is different. My 27-year-old is totally different from my 19-year-old, right? He was that kid that hid everything. No matter what we did, he lies and hides. He's still doing it at 27. So for each child, what works for Elijah doesn't work for Christopher.
Right.
But I stay who I am. I'm not going to change, right? And I think my oldest do want me to be more relaxed, but I can't because he needs that structure. He needs it more than anything. He needs that structure. But like Ebony said, parenting is different for each child. And your relationship, because I got boys, she has a daughter and a son, so that's parenting styles are gonna be different. But that friend thing, I wish I could be that relaxed, you know. Maybe if I that relaxed with my 27-year-old, our relationship would be a lot different, you know. But I gotta but and also your morals and values, my faith, you know, and how I was reared and my belief, you know. I can't. I can't. If you don't stand for something, you'll let out for anything. That's just
right.
And maybe I'm too hard. I don't know, you know. But
no,
different,
you're right. Like you said, it is different because with my son, we didn't have that. My son, it was more like, okay, he was the same. Like he always got caught, pretty much, you know. So like I'll have the conversation and he would be scared. So then after a while, he'll just tell me. But with my daughter, it was more so these conversations was not so much for okay, mommy, I'm trying this. It was more so just to get just your thought process. What do you think about certain things? What are some of the feelings you're having? What are some of your fears? What are some of the things that, you know, as a female you're going through? Because sometimes we as females, we hide things a lot, you know, and sometimes it may not even be an action at that moment. It'll be a thought. So those conversations is to process the thoughts. And this is what's going on. And then from there, we can kind of, you know, navigate the actions. But, you know, like I said, thank God I haven't had any issues with her. Like, she's like, I'm telling you, I was just having this conversation the other day. I'm like, you know, my son and my daughter is completely different. High school, I feel like I'm not even a part of her process. I'm just going along for the ride. This girl has a 4.0 GPA, dual enrollment, president of her magnet program. She's doing her thing, you know, but though it's the inner thoughts that she doesn't share with me sometimes. So when we have these conversations, when she's telling me, I'm upset about this, or this is bothering me, or whatever have you, that's when we can kind of navigate other actions, if that makes sense. Right. Now with my son, completely different.
So here's the thing. Because when we were growing up, we tried things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Parents, we can't be naive because our children are going to try things.
For sure.
And some of those things are the very things we are talking about tonight, as far as drugs. Here's the thing. Are we ready to have that conversation?
Yeah. And another thing too is, how early is too soon? I mean, how soon is too early? You know what I mean? Like, when do I start having these conversations? A lot of parents are like, if I have this conversation, am I exposing them to something? You know? And so I feel like have the conversation early and often. You hear me? Early and often. That is my motto. Early and often.
So that they're able to understand.
Right.
So you have that conversation before their friend have that conversation.
Yeah, even with Carter. Even with Carter, my 5-year-old, we was watching something, and excuse me.
God bless you.
And someone was smoking or something, and then we had a little conversation about that. I'm like, you know, that's not healthy. You shouldn't do that. You know, like you speak to them on their level. You know what I mean? Like as soon as they're able to recognize, oh, mommy, he has such and such. Yeah, that's not good, because when you smoke cigarettes, this happens to your lungs and you know, other things. So I think when they're exposed, you know what I'm saying? It's not ever too early. But my thing is, they're going to be exposed regardless of the conversation from you, TikTok, especially now with the social media, television, and just TV YouTube, in general. You know, it's a lot. You know, and
Early and
even if they're
often.
not on social media like that, their friends are. So when he
Right.
goes to school, you know how kids go to school and you feel like they come back and they pick up other kids' behaviors. So you
Yeah.
don't know what those behaviors are teaching them or what they're saying to them, you know?
And they're smarter. Each generation is smarter than the next. Well, they dumber, but they smart. They smart for his. They're quicker on certain things, but they slower to me. But they're weaker. But yeah, they quick. Technology, they quick. Boy, they starting early, way earlier than we
Yeah.
started.
Listen,
Yeah,
Carter's in kindergarten. He's taking coding.
right.
Coding in kindergarten. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to navigate the internet.
So
He's
so
doing
let me ask this question, because sometimes I don't think parents are ready for a conversation with reality.
Mm-hmm.
Scenario: how do we respond when our children do come to us and says, "Daddy, Mama, I did try it."
They personalize it.
I think
I feel like
Are we ready for that conversation?
I think don't get angry.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe you need to, because I know for me, and everybody know I have about drugs because of my childhood trauma, right? I have just a lot of drugs, right? Childhood trauma. That's my trauma, right? My children didn't have that exposure because I didn't expose them, but because of my trauma, I don't like no type of drugs, smoking, nothing like that. So, my kids already know that. So when they come to you, you have to maybe not get angry at first, maybe walk away, because when Elijah was telling me his little thing, and I was like, I've been talking to you about drugs since 5th grade. I could have went off, right? I've been talking forever. You know, your grandma was this, da, da, da. Why would you? But I was like, I just held the phone. I was like, you know, and I was like, okay, well, I'm glad you having a discussion with me. And I let it go until he drove his butt home, you know, and then we had a face-to-face conversation about, boy, why would you know what I mean? So you just gotta wait. Don't get angry. You know, you may have to step back. You may have to step back and process it. Get on the phone with your therapist or whoever you talk to, or your girls or your dudes, and say, hey, you know, that because even though Elijah's father smoked, he don't want them smoking. You know what I mean? So you got to process that thing, because you don't want your children to make the mistakes you made, right? And so he just could not believe that his son would do that. But why wouldn't you did it? You know, so you got to kind of process that, right? And don't get angry right away. Just step away. You don't have to talk about it then. You can come back a couple hours or even 20. It might take you 20 minutes to process it in your head, but definitely don't respond with anger, you know, because they're gonna be scared to say anything else to you. Golly,
they'll never talk to you again.
You just punched me in my mouth.
Definitely.
To tell you something. You know what I mean? So, no anger.
Michelle, you're right.
Yeah.
Definitely don't respond with anger. Just definitely, you know, be more conversational with them and not argumentative. And that goes to also with my girl talk with Deja. Like, yeah, if she was to tell me something like that during that, no, I wouldn't get up. I would internally probably be furious, but you know, I wouldn't, you know, display that I've done that before and it didn't turn out well. So that's why we started implementing the girl talk, because my reaction was a little crazy. So what you do is you take that information and you use it like, okay, now you can make better choices. Like, okay, well, you know, when she says, oh, I want to go to such and such house, that's not a good idea. You know, because remember, we had this conversation and we said we wasn't going to do this. And I don't want you to be tempted to do that. You know what I mean? So you're able to navigate a little bit better, but definitely be calm and make it a comfortable environment where, like Michelle said, they will always come back and talk to you.
And
where
listen.
They don't feel fearful. Yeah. And listen. You have to listen. You
may not have to respond. You may not need to respond, because I know Elijah was telling me something that happened to him over the weekend. We had go to Car Chronicles, and I was trying to talk and say, he was like, Mama, just listen. Just listen. So I said, okay. No, but I want to tell you what he should have did, but you got to shut up. I was like, I submitted to that, right? I could have kept going, no, boy, don't tell me to listen. I'm your mama. You know what I mean? You telling me the story. I'm telling you it happened to me. But it's not about my work. It's not about me, because I'm almost 50, right? He's going through something. It's his heart right now. You know what I mean? So he's just like, Mama, just listen. Mama, just listen.
Mhm.
So we drove for that hour and I just listen.
Right.
You know?
So this is where we are. We're about to shut this down. I think this is important. Michelle, you was on it because as parents, most time we listen to respond instead of listening to learn. I'm guilty.
I'm guilty.
I'm working on that because as a parent, we always have the answer. I don't care what your story is. We got the answer, but we need to listen now to learn instead of listening to respond. Hey, y'all, we got to get out of here. Give us some final words.
Oh, you sent me? Oh,
Ebony, you are Ebony.
You know, it cut out a little bit. All I heard was some final words, and then everybody looked at me, so I said, I guess that was me.
Okay, Ebony, give us some final words.
Basically, guys, just take the time out to talk to your kids, just listen to them. Like we said, just find out what's going on and educate them on about this epidemic that's going on with this fentanyl and these opioids. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And even if you as a parent, if you feel like maybe, hey, I need some help, let us know. There's some resources we can try to provide for you too. We are in this together. We are a family. We're a community, and we just want everybody to be happy and, have a long, prosperous life. So if anything we can do, please let us know. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week.
All right. Michelle.
Some takeaways that I've got, Reverend, I'm going to piggyback off of you. Listen to learn. Respect boundaries that get in their business. Definitely communicate. And you don't need to have to respond to everything, right? And there's no perfect parent. Love with everything you do. Love them, love the hell out of them, literally. And don't get angry. Try not to get. The word says, be angry but sin not. Right.
So don't try. Ephesians 4:26.
So try not to, even though I know you go through pain and you hurt. I think the prayer I prayed over my children about a month ago, let their heart heal well, let them be able to go through things well and not be able to respond negatively where it costs them their life or they take somebody else's life out of anger and frustration. So just some nuggets from tonight from me, but I missed y'all. I'm glad this is my therapy outside of working out. Also get extra support, parents. It's nothing wrong with talking to a therapist or learn to parent different with older adults, older children or teenagers. That parenting is different than a little child because you have less control with your older children, right? Or your teens. So get some resources, do some therapy, talk to someone. Your parenting evolves as your children grow, and as they get older, your parenting will evolve. So you might have to tap into a therapist and talk to somebody, get that support. But that's all I have. Thank y'all.
Hey, thank you. Q.
This has been a fun topic. This has been a really great topic. The last 2 weeks or whatnot, we talked about communication and how effective communication is important. It's not about what you say, but how you say it. Right. With this fentanyl epidemic, is real. It's a conversation I think that is well needed. It targets the age groups between 12 years old and 19 years old. And so when it comes to teenagers, not saying that it can't happen to anybody. I mean, it can happen to anybody, but that 12 to 19 age gap, you got people who are very influential. That's an influential age. And so when it comes to having those conversations as parents, have them early and often. Go to somebody, practice what you want to say before you say it. And there's no parenting handbook. There's no handbook to parenting. I tell people that all, because if it was, I'm sure everybody's problems would go away. But it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not know what to do. It is okay to feel like you're lost, you're afraid, but you're not alone. You're never alone, because just because you may be going through a situation, there's somebody else around the block, in another city, around the corner, your same age, going through the same thing you're going through too. So I just pray that this information is beneficial. Like we said before, we want to bring you as much information as possible. We want it to be as beneficial to you in your household. And so any and everything, if you have a topic that you want to discuss, I don't know if eventually one day we want to do a live and have people join us, ask specific questions, So I love this. Like Michelle said, this is my therapy just as much. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy it when we come together, and I enjoy when we can have real life conversations, because a lot of times these are conversations that happen over the phone, or I don't want to tell nobody about what's going on with my child or what's going on in my family. Like, these are real life problems that everybody are having, and so I pray that all is well. And yeah, I mean, I love this. So I pray we can keep doing this,
Right.
for sure.
So, while everybody was talking, I thought about, I worked at Pepsi. And one of the things that they did at Pepsi was they target elementary, middle school, and high schools. And what they would do, they would come around and make a proposal to these schools to put in their product. And it was designed to have children hooked on their product when they get older. Okay, that was the market skill. So what they would do is say, hey, to make this work out, so what we're going to do, we're going to put scoreboards in your facilities. Like on your football field, you're going to have a scoreboard. In your gym, there's a scoreboard. Wherever you play sports, we'll put a scoreboard up. But here's the contract. You sign the contract that we are exclusive. You can't sell any other product but Pepsi product. So the children were getting hooked on Pepsi products. So when they would go to a store, they don't care what's on sale. They want to buy what they were accustomed to. I said that to say this. There's something on the street more potent than a Pepsi. And the world is trying to do the same thing with our children.
Mm-hmm.
So parents, you can't be naive. Parents, have those tough conversations, because that tough conversation would put you in a position that there won't be no slow riding and slow walking. And we're crying over a body.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Another thing, too, I just want to say, when it comes to parenting and parenting children, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you want your child to have a healthy lifestyle, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because there's a lot of stuff that's happening, and there are a lot of conversations that are not happening, and a lot of times people just sweep it under the rug because I want to be friends with my child. But like Michelle say, I'm your parent, I'm not your friend, and I'm trying to save your life.
Right.
Absolutely.
So again,
your soul too.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I
go
say
ahead.
Your soul too. Shoot.
Amen. Amen. So again, according to CDC, 107,375 people in the United States died of drug overdose and drug poisoning in the last 12-month period ended in January 2022.
Wow.
And we're here tonight. So your child, my child, won't be a statistic.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, y'all, enjoy the rest of your night. Rest well. We hope to see you next week. Goodbye.